As we approached the Thomas house, an eerie excitement buzzed in the air, sending tingles across my skin. The night was thick with darkness, the moon hiding behind heavy clouds, casting deep shadows over the old houses. Each step we took felt heavier, and a chill ran down my spine as the creaky structure loomed ahead, its broken windows resembling hollow eyes watching us closely. "This place gives me the creeps," Sarah whispered, her voice barely breaking the silence. She wrapped her arms tightly around herself, shivering even though her thick jacket should have kept her warm. I could see she was putting on a brave face, but I knew she was just as scared as I was. I nodded in agreement, my heart pounding in my chest. Deep down, though, I felt an unusual pull toward the house, like it was beckoning us closer. Something about it felt alive, as if it was waiting for us to step inside. With each step, I felt a mix of dread and curiosity, the urge to uncover its secrets overpowering my fear. When we finally stepped over the threshold, a heavy sensation wrapped around us like a thick blanket. The air felt dense, and it was hard to breathe. It was as if the house was alive, its walls holding on to the weight of countless stories and emotions. A palpable tension filled the air, making it hard to shake the feeling that we were intruding on something ancient and powerful. The entrance hall was dimly lit, with dust motes dancing in the weak light. The wooden floor creaked under our feet, echoing our every move. I glanced around, feeling the remnants of laughter and cries from years long gone echoing in my mind. The silence was almost deafening, broken only by the sound of our nervous breaths. "We have to find her," I said, trying to sound brave despite the thumping of my heart. I could feel the weight of the house pressing down on us, making every step feel like a monumental task. "The woman who needs our help, she's somewhere in here." "I know, but where do we even start?" Ben asked, his wide eyes scanning the darkened rooms. He had come along to support us, but I could tell he was uneasy, his body tense as the shadows seemed to shift around us. "Let's check the main rooms first," I suggested, my voice steady, even though my nerves were on edge. "We should look in the living room and the nursery again. Maybe she's drawn to the places she used to be." With a nod, we ventured through the hallway and stepped into the living room. As soon as we crossed the threshold, the air felt thick and heavy, like the house was holding its breath. Old furniture covered in dusty sheets loomed in the dim light, their shapes distorted, creating ghostly figures that seemed to whisper secrets. A faded portrait hung crookedly on the wall, the eyes of the painted family seeming to follow us as we walked past. It felt unnerving, and I couldn't shake the feeling that the house was watching us, judging our every move. My mind wandered as I examined the room, and a wave of longing filled my heart. I imagined what it must have been like for the family that once lived here, full of laughter, love, and warmth in this very space. I wondered if they felt the same heaviness that now enveloped us, if they had ever sensed the darkness that lurked in the corners of their home. "What if she's not here?" Sarah's voice broke through my thoughts, tinged with worry. "What if we can't find her?" "We'll find her," I reassured her, trying to sound more confident than I felt. "We have to believe that we can. She's here, I can feel it." With renewed determination, we moved into the nursery, where the atmosphere shifted dramatically. This room felt colder, the air thick with an overwhelming sadness that weighed heavily on my chest. The walls were painted in soft pastels, once cheerful, but now appearing dull and lifeless. A single, worn-out teddy bear sat in the corner, its button eyes staring blankly at us, as if it held the memories of lost childhood laughter. "Please, we're here to help you," I called out, my voice trembling slightly. The words echoed in the silence, and for a moment, I wondered if I was just talking to shadows. The room felt empty, as if it was holding its breath, waiting for a sign that someone was still there. Then, as if in response to my plea, the woman appeared. She stood at the doorway, her figure faint and shimmering, like a mirage in the fading light. Her face was a mix of sorrow and gratitude, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "You returned," she whispered, her voice soft like a gentle breeze rustling through the leaves. "Thank you for believing in me." I stepped closer, my heart racing with a mixture of fear and hope. "We know the truth now," I said, finding strength in my voice. "We want to help you find peace." I could see the anguish in her expression, and it struck a deep chord within me. She was trapped in a cycle of pain, and we were here to help her break free. "You must confront your past," she replied softly, her voice echoing in the room like a distant memory. "The darkness can only be broken by the light of truth." As she spoke, the room darkened further, and shadows began to swirl around us, growing thicker and more oppressive. I felt a rush of fear wash over me, but I forced myself to stay calm. I couldn't let fear win, we had to help her. "We can do this together," I said, taking a deep breath and looking at my friends. Their faces were determined but frightened. We formed a circle, holding hands tightly as we focused on the woman. "We believe in you," I shouted, my voice ringing through the house. "You're not alone." The shadows grew darker, swirling around us like a storm. But I felt the woman's spirit beside me, stronger than ever. She was a beacon in the darkness, and I could sense her hope intertwining with ours. "You can do this," she urged, her voice echoing in my mind, filling me with courage and determination. The energy in the room shifted, and suddenly, light burst forth, illuminating the room in a warm glow. It was like a sunrise breaking through the night, chasing away the darkness that had settled around us. The shadows screamed and retreated, pushed back by the powerful light. I felt a rush of energy flow through me, filling me with warmth and hope. "We're with you," Ben shouted, his voice strong and unwavering. Together, we focused on the light, pouring our energy into it, determined to help her find peace. The walls trembled, and for a moment, everything felt suspended in time, as if the world held its breath, waiting for the outcome. Then, with a deafening roar, the shadows dissipated, and the room fell silent. I felt a weight lift, a sense of calm settling in the air. The woman stood before us, her expression serene, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice filled with warmth. "You freed me from my pain." As she began to fade away, I felt a rush of emotions, grief, relief, and a profound sense of closure. I wanted to reach out and hold her, to tell her she was safe now, but she slipped through our fingers like sand. "Goodbye," she said softly, her voice like a gentle breeze. "Thank you for believing in me." We stood in silence, tears streaming down our faces as the last remnants of her presence disappeared. The house felt different now, lighter, free from the weight of its dark history. As we stepped outside, the moon shone brightly, illuminating our path. The world felt transformed, as if the entire universe had changed with us. The shadows that once clung to the Thomas house had vanished, replaced by a warm glow that felt welcoming, like a hug from the universe itself. "Wow," Sarah breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. "We actually did it." "We did," I replied, a smile breaking through my tears. "We helped her find peace." We walked down the creaky porch steps, feeling the cool breeze against our faces. It was as if the air itself was celebrating with us. "I can't believe we faced that," Ben said, shaking his head in disbelief. I thought I was going to lose it back there. I thought we were done for, Sarah admitted, her laughter bubbling up, breaking the tension. But we stuck together. That's what matters. Her laughter was infectious, and I found myself chuckling along with her. As we got into the car, a sense of triumph swelled in my chest. Tonight was more than just an adventure, I said, glancing at my friends, who wore expressions of relief and disbelief. We faced our fears, uncovered the truth, and helped a lost soul find her way. I'll never forget this night. The drive home felt different, filled with an energy I couldn't quite put my finger on. The streets were bathed in the soft glow of streetlights, casting long shadows that danced around us. I could see the familiar sights of our neighborhood passing by, but everything felt more vibrant, more alive, as if the world had shifted into a new gear. Do you think we'll ever forget what happened tonight? Sarah asked, her tone thoughtful. She leaned back in her seat, her eyes reflecting the lights of passing cars. I don't think so, I replied, glancing at the rearview mirror. This will stay with us forever. It changed us. I could feel it in my bones. The experience had woven itself into the very fabric of who we were. Ben nodded, his face serious. It was more than just confronting a ghost. We faced our own fears, too. That's something I'll always carry with me. His words hung in the air, a solemn reminder of the bravery we had shown. As we turned onto my street, a sense of peace washed over me. I knew the night had transformed us in ways we couldn't fully understand yet. I glanced at my friends, their faces lit with the soft glow of streetlights. I felt a warmth in my heart, knowing that we had each other to lean on, no matter what. When we reached my house, I opened the door and stepped inside, the familiar scent of home wrapping around me. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the night begin to lift. But there was something lingering in the air, a reminder of the darkness we had faced and the light we had found. Let's promise to check in on each other, I said, looking at Sarah and Ben. After tonight, I think we need to be there for one another, no matter what. Agreed, Ben said, nodding earnestly. We're stronger together, right? Always, Sarah replied, her smile warm. Let's make it a tradition to have these adventures. Who knows what else is out there waiting for us? We exchanged numbers and made plans to meet up again soon, already excited about the possibilities that lay ahead. As they left, I closed the door behind them, feeling a rush of gratitude for our friendship. That night, as I lay in bed, I couldn't shake the feeling of the woman's presence lingering in my mind. I thought about her pain, her journey, and how our paths had crossed for a reason. I felt a sense of responsibility to honor her memory, to keep her story alive. Sleep eventually took me, but my dreams were filled with light and warmth. I saw flashes of the Thomas house, but instead of shadows, there was a golden glow, illuminating the halls and chasing away the darkness. I felt a sense of peace wash over me, and when I woke up, it was with a renewed sense of purpose. I knew I wanted to explore more, to uncover more stories like hers. The world was full of mysteries waiting to be discovered, and I was ready to embrace them. With my friends by my side, we could face whatever challenges lay ahead, just as we had done that night. In the days that followed, I often found myself reflecting on our adventure at the Thomas house. I couldn't help but think about how we had faced the darkness together and how we had emerged stronger. It was a reminder of the strength we held within ourselves and the bonds we forged through shared experiences. As Halloween approached, excitement filled the air, and the thrill of the unknown tugged at my heart. I suggested we go on another adventure, this time exploring a nearby abandoned asylum, rumored to be haunted. My friends eagerly agreed, their spirits high after the success of our last encounter. The day finally came, and we gathered, our hearts pounding with anticipation. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows as we approached the asylum. The air felt electric, alive with the promise of the unknown. "Are you ready?" I asked, glancing at Ben and Sarah, who stood beside me, their expressions a mix of excitement and fear. "More than ever," Sarah replied, her eyes sparkling with determination. As we stepped through the creaking gate, I knew that whatever happened next, we would face it together, just like we had done before. The bond we had forged in the darkness of the Thomas house would guide us, lighting our path as we delved deeper into the mysteries of the night. "No," I replied, my voice firm. "And I don't want to." This night changed us. We learned that courage comes in many forms, and sometimes helping others means facing our own fears. When we finally arrived at my house, the weight of the evening settled over me again. But it was a different kind of weight, a comforting reminder of what we had accomplished together. I felt grateful for my friends, for their support, and for the chance to be part of something so meaningful. "Let's make a pact," Ben said suddenly, turning serious. "Every Halloween, we come back to this night and remember what we did. No matter where life takes us, we'll always have this bond." "I like that idea," Sarah agreed, her eyes sparkling. "This Halloween will always be special for us." "Definitely," I added, feeling the warmth of their words wrap around me like a cozy blanket. As we said our goodbyes and I walked inside, I took one last look at the moon hanging high in the sky. It shone down on me, a reminder of the light we had found together in the darkest of places. That night, I lay in bed wide awake, replaying every moment in my mind. The feeling of fear, the rush of adrenaline, and the overwhelming sense of peace that followed. I couldn't shake the image of the woman's grateful smile from my thoughts. She had been trapped for so long, and we had helped her break free. I closed my eyes, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a deep sense of contentment. Halloween would never be the same for us again. Instead of being just a night for costumes and candy, it had transformed into a symbol of hope and healing. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight streaming through my window. The world outside felt bright and new, filled with endless possibilities. I couldn't wait to share our adventure with my family, to tell them how we had faced our fears and helped a lost soul find her way. As I made my way to the kitchen, I could hear my parents talking and laughing. The smell of pancakes filled the air, and I felt warmth and love enveloping me. "Morning," I called out, my voice cheerful. "Morning, sleepyhead," my mom replied, grinning at me. "Ready for a new day?" "Absolutely," I said, sitting down at the table. I glanced out the window, watching the leaves fall gently from the trees, painting the ground in shades of orange and gold. After breakfast, I grabbed my phone and texted Sarah and Ben. "Can we meet up later? I want to talk about last night." I pressed send and felt a rush of excitement. I knew they would feel the same way this experience had brought us closer together. A few hours later, we gathered at our favorite coffee shop, a cozy place with soft music playing in the background. The familiar smell of coffee filled the air, and I felt a sense of comfort wash over me as we settled into a corner booth. "I can't stop thinking about the woman," Ben said, stirring his coffee absent-mindedly. "What was her story? What happened to her?" "I don't know, but I wish we could find out," I replied, leaning forward. "Maybe there's a way to learn more about the house history. Like digging into old records or something?" Sarah suggested, her eyes bright with curiosity. "That could be fun." "Exactly. We could visit the local library and see what we can find. There might be old newspaper articles or something," I said, my excitement building. "I'm in," Ben said, nodding enthusiastically. "Let's do it." Over the next few weeks, we dedicated ourselves to uncovering the secrets of the Thomas house. We spent hours at the library, poring over old records and newspaper clippings. Each discovery felt like a piece of a larger puzzle, and we were determined to solve it together. One afternoon, we found an article about a tragic event that had occurred at the house many years ago. A woman had lost her child in a terrible accident, and her grief had consumed her. As I read the article aloud, I could feel the weight of her sorrow hanging in the air. "This must be her," I whispered, my heart aching for her. She was lost in her pain. "Maybe that's why she couldn't move on," Sarah said softly. She was holding on to her grief. We all sat in silence, absorbing the reality of what we had uncovered. It was more than just a ghost story. It was a tale of love and loss, a reminder of how grief can tie us to the past. "That makes what we did even more important," Ben said finally, breaking the silence. "We helped her find peace. We gave her the chance to let go." "Yes, and now we can share her story," I added, my voice steady with determination. "We can honor her memory and the love she had for her child." With renewed purpose, we decided to create a short documentary about our experience and the history of the Thomas houses. We wanted to shine a light on the darkness, to show others that even in the depths of despair, there is hope and healing. As we worked on the documentary, we spent more time together, exploring the town and gathering stories from locals who had known about the house. We interviewed people who had lived nearby, collecting their memories and experiences. Each story added layers to our understanding of the woman's pain and the house's history. Finally, after weeks of hard work, we completed our documentary. We organized a small screening at the community center, inviting friends and family to join us. As the lights dimmed and the film began, I felt a mix of excitement and nerves swirling inside me. The screen lit up with images of the Thomas house, intertwined with the stories we had gathered. I watched as our journey unfolded, the laughter and tears we shared captured in each frame. The audience sat in rapt attention, their faces reflecting a range of emotions as they absorbed the tale of the woman and her grief. When the documentary ended, the room erupted into applause. I felt tears of joy and relief streaming down my cheeks as I glanced at Sarah and Ben. We had done it together, turning our fear into something meaningful. "Thank you for sharing this story," an elderly woman said, her voice trembling with emotion. "I've lived in this town for years, and I never knew what had happened there. It's important that we remember." As we spoke with the audience afterward, I felt a sense of connection with everyone in the room. We were united by the power of storytelling, by the shared experience of healing and hope. That Halloween felt different than any I had ever experienced. Instead of simply dressing up and going trick-or-treating, we celebrated the lives touched by the Thomas house. We honored the woman's memory and shared her story with the world. As the night wore on, I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey we had taken together. I had faced my fears and helped a lost soul find her way. And in doing so, I had found a part of myself that I didn't know was missing. From that day forward, Halloween became a symbol of hope and healing for us. We continued to return to the Thomas house each year, lighting candles and leaving flowers at the door, honoring the woman's memory. And as the years passed, our bond grew stronger, forged through the shared experience of facing our fears and finding light in the darkest of places. Every Halloween, we gathered to remember that night, to reflect on the journey we had taken together. The memories of the Thomas house would always stay with us, a reminder of the power of love, courage, and friendship.